A message to Action Lab. Saw your brilliant video on sand. When you stand on sand, you get a dry patch around it, and then you did an experiment in a bottle showing that when you stress the bottle, that the strain response is an increase in volume. And you've given us an explanation based on sand being round golf balls, and they're not. And this is a deliberate missteer from engineering, because engineering is hiding the classified physics of atomic engineering, and you find it right here in negative Poisson's ratio of water. So let me explain. You're seeing a short duration moment of concrete aggregate interlock in the negative spaces in between the grains of sand. So the grains of sand are irregular polygons with flat-sided sheared faces. They're flat-sided faces. And the way that concrete works is that you're locking together. When you vibrate the concrete, you interlock the aggregate into spaces. Can you see it? Those flat spaces all wriggle together so that you get a random structure of aggregate. And it's that randomness that creates the interlock and the strength of concrete. And so you're creating concrete with the pressure for a moment. You get a concrete moment of aggregate interlock. Does that make sense? And you've got a zone of influence now. So where the foot presses on the sand, you see the zone of influence as a circle around it, or a relative circle around the length of the foot. And that's the zone of influence. So you're getting that concrete aggregate interlock moment occurring as the strain is increasing. And because the sand is completely soluble, so it's a fluid that's settled, you're dealing at the nth scale boundary between laminar and turbulent flow, critical flow. So you're creating critical flow of shear force. They're right on the shear force. Critical flow of shear force is occurring in the spaces in between the aggregate, the incompressible aggregate interlock. The only place it can compress is the water that is in between those two faces. And that water responds through cavitation, and the surface turns inside out. So it takes the stress by straining. Its elastic response to the stress is to turn the surface inside out, and that creates cavitation, and that's negative vacuum energy volume increase. So you've created a little vacuum bubble, so it's a bigger volume, and therefore the volume overall has increased inside the sand. When you bring that into your bottle, you think, oh look, I'm compressing it, therefore the volume inside must be decreasing. But no, the volume is relative to the water, which exists in time. And so you're creating a negative space in time, in the moment of each beat of time. Planck's constant, each quanta of energy is revealed in this moment of cavitation. Volume increase. So you press down, the concrete moment is created in the spaces in between in the aggregate interlock, creating extra stress strain in a geometrical pattern, because there's two straight lines compressing together against a Euclidean bending moment disk, and that creates a surface inversion, forces the surfaces apart. But they can't move apart because they're concrete interlocked, and therefore they just sit there as negative spaces in between. And it dries because the water has turned inside out in that zone to support the additional stress that's been added by the foot on the sand. In the bottle where it's lightly packed, when you're pushing it down, this proves it to me, when you push it down you get standard space response, which is the volume decreases in the water, in the head, in the measurement, the tube goes up, and then once you've got it to the point where you've got concrete aggregate interlock again, then it goes down, because then you're getting the negative Poisson's ratio effect again. And it's the hiding of negative Poisson's ratio that this is all about, because that's atomic energy. They're messing with the twist in the fabric of space and time of water, which exists at the beginning and at the end. The strength at the beginning is balanced by the strength of the end of a moment, each duration, rigid body instant, elastic response moment. Proven by your experiment, Action Lab, so well done. But ignore the engineers. Listen to this engineer, the retired ones. And I give you Dr. Victor Lewe, 1915. And from your experiment I can prove, one, The Earth is the center of the universe, the center of our cosmos, the center of our sphere of influence. 2, reinforced concrete slows the momentum of the planet. 365 and a bit days is showing it's too slow. It should be 364 days of 13 months, 28 days each. And that is our natural cycle to follow. And so the world begins with your experiment action now. Well done. Well done. Welcome to the future. Follow the Rebel King.